let's take a look today at the product life cycle. So here we have two axes. The one on the bottom is going to represent time. And the one up here is going to be revenues, product units sold. And so we have a brand new product that comes out into the marketplace. So here it starts out no sales and then grows. And then it's going to grow faster, and then it's going to kind of peak, and then it's going to go back down. So there are 4 stages in the product life cycle. The first stage is the introduction phase. The second phase is going to be the growth phase. And the growth phase starts when the units sold and the revenues really start growing fast and go up to a point where they peak, right? And start to level off. Then that's the growth phase. Growth. And then we have the maturity phase. And the maturity phase is going to go until sales start to drop off. And then we're going to hit the decline phase. So at each stage, we have 4 things that influence what happens at each stage of the product life cycle. And those 4 things are product, price, place, and promotion. Product, price, place, and promotion. So this line right here, this product life cycle, that's going to tell us industry sales or revenues. Now you notice I say industry, not any one individual product. Any one individual product could have problems during any stage. At any stage, a manufacturer could come up with a bad product and people stop buying it. At any stage, the popularity of the product could die. Let's say the CEO does something, insults a lot of people, and so people stop buying the product goes down. But the growth trend of the industry is going to follow this curve. Not any one product. So let's first look at the customers. Okay? So the customer during the introduction phase starts off with the innovator. The innovator. So the innovator is a type of person who has to have the latest and greatest new thing. My friend Kurt Beavers, for example, is an innovator. Kurt always has the latest, the greatest technology that can come out. I remember when liquid plasma screens came out. Kurt went out and bought one. It was 48 inches and it cost $32,000. Kurt had to have one. He wanted the greatest picture. And so we looked at that picture and you compare it to the TV we had at home, and it was amazing, the quality of it. About 6 months later, the price dropped to about $16,000 and the screen size went from 48 to 55 inches. So Kurt bought one of those. He took the 55 inch, put it in the living room, put the 48 inch into his bedroom, and Kurt has the latest and greatest. Now, nowadays, Kurt has this TV in his home that is amazing. So the screen is the same screen as they use at the Atlanta Braves Stadium. It goes from the floor all the way up to what would be our ceiling here, and it goes across all the way from there to there. And it is an amazing experience watching a football game with Kurt. Because, I mean, you see those guys do the tackle, and it's, you know, it's right there in your face. It's amazing. It's amazing. Great TV. Kurt's an innovator. Kurt had the first iPhone, the first day he had an iPhone. And when they came up with the iPhone 2, Kurt has it. When they came up with the iPhone 3, Kurt has it. He would take his phone, and when he got the iPhone 2, he passed the iPhone 1 to his wife. And then when he got the iPhone 3, he took the iPhone 3. His wife had the iPhone 2, and his son had the iPhone 1. He just passed it on down. And Kurt always has the latest and greatest. In fact, he's on a list now, so Apple automatically sends him a new iPhone as soon as it comes out. Kurt's an innovator. He's going to have the latest, the greatest. He's going to buy. It's going to be great. Right? So that's about half of the people in this introductory phase. In the second half of the introductory phase, we have early adopters. Now, they're not going to have it immediately, but they're going to be watching the trends, and they're going to be watching what the innovators do. They're going to see the leaders, and they're going to follow their footsteps. So the early adopters, ADOPTORS, adopters. ERS, I'm sorry, my brain went dead. So what's going to happen during these phases? First, we have our price. Let's look at price there. Now, this is early on, and in fact, in this stage, there's this other line that comes down here, and it starts below our sales line, and it comes up, and right about somewhere near the end of the introduction phase, it starts going above the line, and then it goes up and up and up, and then it starts coming back down in the decline phase. This over here, this is the profit, industry profit. And you can see that as we start off, we have negative returns. Losing money big time. And but then at the end of the introduction phase, they start making money. That's going to kind of set up what's going to happen over here in this growth phase, because we're making some money now. So what happens to price? Now, you guys have had your economics, so you know this diagram here, and this curve right here is a demand curve. Yes. So the demand curve's here, and what it says is that at a high price, few people buy it, and at a low price, a lot of people buy it. Well, here, clearly in this phase, we do not have many people buying, and we're not making any money, so what we're going to do is the price is going to be the highest in its history, in the history of the product. Right? And so that price is really high, right? And we're going to see what happens later on as the product life cycle develops. But we start up really high. So for example, when the iPhone came out, day one the iPhone came out, $699. Over the first 3 months, they sold 1 million of those things, and then the sales started dropping off really fast. And Apple realized that for a lot of people in here, the price was just too high. So after a month, they lowered the price $100. Went from $6.99 to $5.99. Now, if you bought one at $6.99 like Kurt Beavers did, and suddenly it's $5.99, you're going to be hacked. You bet you are. So Apple sent a $100 check to everybody who had bought during that first time period so that they wouldn't be mad at them. Right? But it started off really, really high when the iPod came out. First iPod, $799, hell, 13 songs. Well, who's going to buy one of those? Basically what Apple did is they gave them away. They gave them away to athletes, to people during the Olympics. And it was interesting, during the Olympics, the reporters would be looking at the runners getting ready to run, Runners for America, and they'd have earbuds in, and they'd be listening to this thing, and it wasn't a Sony Walkman, and they were like, what is that? And they did all these discussions on what is that thing, and it was an iPod. And so Apple goes over a little while later, and they lower the price down to $4.99, and it held 127 songs, and suddenly things sales shot up like a maniac because we lowered the price as time went on. But when we started out, the price was high. Right? So then we look at the product. Then, of course, the product is new. But one of the things we're going to be doing is we're going to be investing a lot of money in research and development. But why? Why are we spending all this money in research and development? I mean, we've got the product here. Nobody else has one. Why are we going to invest? Because when we come into this growth phase, these evil, nasty, vile, wicked people are going to be there, and they're called competitors. See, these competitors notice we're making some profit down here, and they see this product in here, and they say, we can do that. So when they see this product and they decide they can do that, do you think they're going to come up with a product that is equal in quality to the product that's existing out here? Or will they have lower quality than the product that's out here? Or will they have higher quality? Will they add new features and new functions? You bet they are. So if I sit there, that doesn't happen with this new product, and I'm suddenly making all this money. When these competitors come out, then I don't have the features and functions that they have. And so I'm in real big trouble. Disposable diapers. The first people that invented these disposable diapers were these two guys, and they were in their garage, and they came up with this idea to come up with this disposable diaper. And so they made the disposable diaper, and it was first sold in Japan, and they were selling these things like mad. And then they sold in the United States, and everybody wanted one. And it started becoming really, really profitable for these guys. But they had invested no money in research and development. They were just sitting there enjoying their product, and Procter & Gamble came out with a product they called Pampers. And when they came out with Pampers, Pampers came out with elastic around the legs and with tape. See, people were using safety pins to pin that thing together, and it was so loose that if there was an excess of natural bodily actions, then it would drip down the legs just like a cloth diaper would. It was a mess, and Pampers improved. They decided they were going to go into business. And so they did research and development. They thought about different changes. They thought about a new feature. They thought about new functions that could happen for the product to make the product really great. And so they came up with the elastic around the legs so it would stop any leakage and put the absorption right down to that elastic, and have tape that would hold it together so that you didn't have to use a safety pins. Well, that's just brilliant, right? And Pampers stole the market. And the inventors of the disposable diapers went out of business. Gotta spend money on research and development. Gotta be ready for this growth phase where we're going to come up with new features and functions, right? So, product, price, place. It is in few places. Few places. When the iPhone came out, where could you get one? Either the Apple Store or at AT&T. AT&T paid Apple $1 billion to be the exclusive provider of the iPhone. And Apple had to do it for just 1 year. $1 billion for 1 year. But it sold like mad. Reestablished AT&T as the #1 seller of wireless mobile phones because Verizon had taken over from AT&T, and suddenly AT&T was the only one with the iPhone. And big, right? So it's in few places, but we're actually going to start spending money and promoting to other distribution points. We want people to carry the product. You come up with a new spaghetti sauce and you start selling, you get into Ingles. What's the best way to sell more? It's to get yourself into Bilo and to get yourself into Food Lion. And how do you do that? Well, you're going to hire salespeople. And you're going to have those salespeople go to Food Lion with samples. And you're going to say, hey, taste this. This is really good. We think you ought to have this in the store. And they're going to be promoting to you, and they're going to spend money trying to develop the distribution channel, trying to get more distributors, more retailers to carry the product. So what happens when Verizon starts selling an iPhone? Woo, baby. We start selling a lot more cell phones, right? Because we doubled the distribution points for iPhones, and we sold a tremendous amount more of the iPhones. Right? So, place, go get more. Product, price, place, and promotion. Now, of course, it's a brand new product, so we've got to spend a lot of money here promoting the product. People need to know about that product. But if it's a brand new product, what do these innovators and what do these early adopters need to hear about the product? They need to see its benefits. And they need to see how to use it. Two key things: benefits and how to use it. First iPhone commercial. Black screen, iPhone comes up. And then a hand comes out. And the hand, with just a finger, starts touching on the iPhone. Pulls up a map, goes to the top, types in restaurants. And on the map, all these dots come up. Touches on a dot, and it's pizza. Touches on another dot, and it's Chinese food. And so it presses on that, pulls it up, looks at the restaurant, and it says 4 reservations. Clicks that button, phone number, clicks the button, it starts ringing, and it turns around and says, hello. I mean, we're talking about flip phones. And we're talking about the only way to text is to press, if you want to type C, you press the number 1 button 3 times, and then you get a C. And my son had gotten so good, he could take a flip phone, and he could text 30 words a minute. Pressing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So the iPhone, I told you, here are the benefits of it. Here's the internet. Not a fake internet, not a pretend internet, the real internet. Here's how to blow up the screen. Here's how, just go like this and the map goes bigger. Go like this and the map gets smaller. Amazing. They showed you the benefits. They showed you how to use it. those are the two key things that you need to do when you have an iPhone, right? When you have a new product, you've got to show the benefits. Let me grab something to drink. I should have had this closer, shouldn't I? There we go. So, perfect timing. Let's move into the growth phase. In the growth, I should mention that this introduction phase, somewhere between 3 and 13% of everyone who's ever going to buy this new product buys during the introduction phase. Now, I say 13%, depends on the product. Some products catch on really, really fast, and some are slower. Right? So generally, somewhere between 3 and 13%. In the growth phase, that's an H. In the growth phase, our customer we call the early majority. The early majority. Now this early majority says that somewhere between 33% and 38% of everyone who's ever going to buy this new product is going to buy it during the growth phase. Now we already noted that competitors come out. So when we look at price is going to drop. That is going to spur more people to buy it. We remember our demand curve. If we lower the price from up here to down here, we get a higher quantity of people buying the product. Yeah. So, price is going to drop. Product. Well, we've been spending all this money in research and development. So in this phase, we're going to have new features and new functions, new capabilities that are going to come out for that product. So with the iPhone, we're going to have, you think about it, what do people really want with the iPhone? Longer battery? Screen that won't break? Ooh, that's going to take a lot of research and development to come up with that. I haven't even done it yet. So the iPhone comes up with new apps. The iPhone comes up with faster speed. It comes up with more memory. It comes up with a better camera. And so we have these new features and functions that come out that spur this growth phase. Right? So one thing that's going to also have to happen is we're going to have more research and development. I don't know how long this growth phase is going to last. You know, some products, they come, they go. Some products last hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. And we still buy those products hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years later. So this growth phase, it may take us a while to get through there. But during the growth phase, I have to continually be coming out with new features and new functions. That's part of the nature of the growth phase. In fact, one of the biggest things that we're going to notice about the growth phase is these new features and new functions and the expenditure that we have to make on more and more research and development to come up with new and better functions. So Apple is continually trying to come up with new features and functions for the iPhone. So we have these new features and functions to compete with these competitors, because the competitors keep coming up with new features. So the iPhone that comes up with this feature and that feature and the other feature, and Galaxy comes up with this feature and that feature and the other feature. Right? That's the basis here of promoting. So let me go on promotion. What am I going to promote? Well, I'm going to promote these new features and new functions. So for example, Apple comes up with facial recognition. Boy, do I need that. Really? I don't need that. Using my thumb is great. Hey, having a code is super, that's all I need. But having a fingerprint? Yeah, buy that. But buy a new phone for facial recognition to open the phone instead of using my finger? I'm not sure I'll buy that. So what does Apple have to do? Is they have to market these new features and functions. They have to convince you that you need one. Oh boy, if you don't have facial recognition, you are not with it. You are not in the in crowd. Gotta have facial recognition, right? Yes. I mean, look at this mug. And you're like, who would want to see that? Hey, you shouldn't say that to me. You know, I think I need to move this up a little bit so you can see all of that. There we are. That makes that, that makes that a little. Is that better? I hope so. So, we've got these new features and functions that we're marketing out there. Place, growing to everywhere. So, iPhone comes out. AT&T, Verizon, Sprint is dying. They don't have enough sales. And they think it's because they don't have the iPhone. So Sprint pays Apple $7 billion to give them the right, to carry the iPhone. Now that was such a stupid expenditure for two reasons. Number one, the payoff was 17 years. Right? So Sprint was never going to make any profit again because they paid all this money to Apple. Dumb. The other thing that's dumb is Sprint didn't realize that we were moving into the growth phase and that Apple was going to need to have more distribution points. 6 months after Sprint paid them $7 billion for free, Apple let T-Mobile start carrying it, and anybody else who wanted to carry the iPhone could carry the iPhone. Today, where do we see the iPhone? Good grief. You can buy an iPhone at Best Buy, you can buy one in Walmart or Kmart. You know, they're selling these things all over the place. Pretty soon you're going to be able to sell them, buy them in a grocery store or a convenience store. In fact, you might be able to buy one at a truck stop somewhere along the way. So we're going to have to supply that everywhere. Why? Well, look what's happened to sales. Sales is going up. So sales is going up so far. What do I need to make sure that I have? Enough distribution points to sell the product anywhere somebody might want one. So then we move from the growth phase over here to the maturity phase. And in the maturity phase, the customer is the late majority. The late majority. So here, the customers, 33% to 38%, everyone who's going to buys there. But these people are they're going to wait a while. They don't have to have it immediately. In fact, they're not near followers. They don't even have to have real quick. So for example, I have an iPhone. My wife had an iPhone. My kids did not have iPhones. They were too expensive. I'm going to give one to a kid. I needed 4. Well, now, when we get up here to the growth phase and late majority phase, everybody's going to have one. All the kids, right, nowadays, 5- and 6-year-olds are getting iPhones for Christmas. Of course, a 5-year-old needs an iPhone. Who knows what they need to do on that phone. Late majority. So here, nowadays with the iPhone, and in fact, I will tell you that I think that when we look at the iPhone, we are probably starting to be in this maturity phase. And I think we're going to see that as we go along. So prices are going to drop again. But here, one of the big ways they're going to drop is for the first time, the supply of the product is greater than the demand for the product. So back here, and even here, when we were making iPhones, people would have to be put on a wait list. I may have to wait a month or 2 months to get the new iPhone. They can't make it fast enough. So now, the capabilities of the manufacturing are now huge. And there are lots of different suppliers out there. Lots of different competitors out there. And so the supply is greater than demand. Now remember your economics. If the supply is greater than the demand, that creates a surplus. So if you have a surplus in goods, in other words, too many items on the shelf, what do you do to take care of that? You put it on sale, right? You discount it some way. So the price drops generally here through having a sale. So Black Friday comes, boom, we're going to have the big thing. It's going to be go buy a new iPhone, right? It's on sale. We're going to take $100 off during Black Friday. Okay? So the price, we're going to start having sales. The product becomes a commodity. Now, commodity means that it really doesn't matter who you buy it from. All the products are really the same. You say, oh, that's not true. An iPhone is completely different than an Android. Does an Android really not have all the features that an iPhone has? Does it have Gmail? Does it have Calendar? Does it have a USA Today app? Does it have Solitaire? Does it? Yeah. You say, oh, they're completely different. Well, the interface might be a little different, but basically, in terms of the features and the functions, anything you can do with a Galaxy, you can do with an iPhone, and vice versa. Now, why are iPhones selling more? Because they have more features and functions? No, the reason iPhone is selling more is because of the brand. Now, I should mention, over here in the growth phase, we're going to start emphasizing branding. Because over here, the big reason you're going to choose which one you want to buy is the brand. So I buy iPhone because it's cool to have an iPhone. You do know, of course, that across the world there are more Galaxies sold than there are iPhones because of price. But here in America, it's the brand. We have to have the iPhone. So, branding is key. Now, my bet is some of you would identify yourself in here as an Apple kind of person. You love the iPhone. You're not going to use anything else. Some of you say, listen, man, I use Galaxy and it is a cool device. It is a lot better. Listen, features and functions are basically the same because it's a commodity. Oil is a commodity. It doesn't really matter if you buy your oil in Argentina or from Russia or shale oil in the United States. It really doesn't matter because it's going to be refined, and when you get a gas pump and you're getting your unleaded, it doesn't matter where that gasoline, that oil comes from. It's a commodity. Coffee is a commodity. Once I was buying Colombia coffee beans, and My boss had told me to buy them at 53 cents a pound. So when I called the broker to buy them, he said they were at 56 cents a pound. I was like, hey, you're trying to rip me off. I ain't gonna buy, I'm looking for 53 cents. He laughed, said, it's 56 cents. And I said, well, I'll have to go to another broker. He said, would you like some names of some people? And I said, no, I've got them. So I called up some others and found out coffee from Colombia is a commodity, and when the price is 53 cents, it's 53 cents. It doesn't matter who you are. When it's 56 cents, doesn't matter who you are, it's 56 cents. You're not big enough to influence the market. So, it's a commodity. The place is everywhere. So we're going to push that brand. Take this shirt. This shirt does not have a designer label on here. But if we took this shirt, and we put a polo player on it, or we put an alligator on it, suddenly it's worth $20 more. Huh? It's basically the same shirt, but because it's got that brand on there, it's worth more. Because a shirt is a shirt is a shirt is a shirt is a shirt. Right? We are in the maturity phase for shirts. Yeah? But the brand. So if I can convince you that this brand is better, maybe it's better because it has better quality. Maybe it's better because it's more popular. But it has something that makes it better. Branding. So then we move into the decline phase. So you notice here, sales are declining and our profit comes to a point to where there's no profit. So in terms of price, this is where marginal cost, the cost of making a product, comes to equal marginal revenue, that's an M, the revenue that you get, plus just a teeny amount of profit. So at this point, in terms of the product, we're going to milk it for all it's worth, and then we're going to kill it. Comes a time, not going to have this. That product is gone. Finito, no mas. Right? So in terms of place, it goes down to few places, and then to none. So if you wanted an old MTSC television, where would you get one? We only had HD. Pawn shop? If you wanted a record player that played vinyl records, where would you get one? Well, we would say a pawn shop, but now they're bringing them back. So we've revitalized the product life cycle of those things. Promotion, are you kidding me? None. Right? So this is the life cycle of a product. From zero sales and the industry sales go up. Remember, it's an industry, not any individual product or any individual company. The sales go up, they level out, and then they decline, and our profits go from negative to positive, and then they go to negative again. The product, the life of a product.